Hello, everybody. I'll be right back. I have to go make sure my child is doing my child thing, but I'll be right back. Hang on. My apologies. I have to be a parent. So I'm being a parent. If that's not apparent. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize for the immense amount of dead air there. However, somebody decided that since Mom is sick and I am in the middle of a show from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, that somebody can wait until somebody yells at them before they go to bed. So they are now in bed. We are now at work. All right. We're doing some work on this here to make this look better. It already looks much better from a distance here because I lit up the bottom side of his face and the outside of his face, so it's giving him much more definition. I'm also going to go in and we're going to remove the color from here. We're going to go in and put in some color into his lips, specifically right here. Even though he's not female, I'm still going to make that just a little bit of color so that it shows. There's a little bit of sort of placement in there. Yeah, it's always family first, but it's still frustrating, you know? So, I had said that I have been working with the theory of what other, like Block and everybody had been using, the concept of black and white, and then using color over it. And I hate to say that I've become a convert, but I've become a convert. This is a much better concept all the way across. I get a whole lot more detail out of it, and it's much more usable. So I'm into the idea of this because I can do corrections to this now, and laying the blue over it still makes it work. You can still see what's going on in here. But I just now suddenly realized he's not looking anywhere. After all of this, he's not looking anywhere. He's looking off into the distance. I never quite caught that until now, so let's fix it. He should be looking at her. There we go. I don't know if he has eyelashes or not, but he should be looking back at her. She's looking at him, he's looking at her. That's the way that should be reading. Before he was looking off into the distance. We're fighting each other. But I shall stare out over here. Very careful how I do this. At this point, it could be remarkably disastrous to be on the wrong layer. We could go back quite a ways on the wrong layer. Days of printing, huh? Ugh. A long time. Pepper. I shall allow Pepper to join us, which requires a button to push to allow Pepper to join us. Hello, Pepper.
Hello, guy.
How are you today?
Well, okay. You?
I'm good. I agree with Bill. You need to put lights in there on that side too. I could see that. You will, and it will be fine, and it will be beautiful.
Yeah, he was looking for some type of system, and he wants it to look professional. And I'm just like, well, I already have like 2 other lights that are like the ones above my desk, my other art desk, and it's already rigged up with a camera and everything. And he's like, no, I want something that's like a little bit better than that.
I will slightly side with Bill on this.
Yeah.
I think it looks better if if you're going to have the lights on screen, then it needs to look a little bit more like it's behind me. Got some creative color going on, stuff like that. Kind of splashing light around. But, so,
Yeah.
Of course I will say
So,
stuff like
I'm
geeky.
So, yeah. Right now it's curing, so I can't work on it until tomorrow. But I have everything kind of already done. And set up for the white highlights to be finished with that one image from earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Brent is saying some keys to light up the art desk and stuff like that would be good.
Well, I mean, to me, like, this is not really supposed to be where I'm working, but I've been working at it today because it's new.
And fun.
But this is also supposed to be where I'm not necessarily doing artwork. Once the piece of glass that we get for the top, this is going to turn into a paint making station. So I can't really get too invested in doing art here all the time.
You're going to be watercolor there, yeah?
Today I was, but only because I could.
Okay,
And I wanted to show people that I got it.
right. Right, well, that makes sense. It's kind of like my secondary station over here. I have that secondary station.
Yeah.
And on the other side, where I sometimes do, which has the top-down camera and stuff like that for building stuff.
Yeah. Is me joining you, like, having a problem? Because you're, like, really, like, cutting. And it seems like you don't have that problem, and then I join, and it's like, bam, you have it.
A lot of it is because I'm using the watercolor brush, which I think eats up a lot of processor cycles.
Okay.
And so it's only because of this painting. So I'm gonna hold for right now, just in case. If it continues after this, maybe we've got a different problem. But for right now,
what is the prognosis with your image? Guy?
we can test that. Hang on. Brent theorizes it's the printer source. So did that make me sound better?
You're still, like,
Robotic.
breaking.
Yeah, then let's try this. Boot. Now, do I sound better?
You do? Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to add Brent's printer back in. Do I still sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll close my email. I'll close the link to my phone. Let's close Steam. Steam's running. Just kill stuff anyway. I mean, like, it's not like I shouldn't be doing this anyway.
And you're now back to crackling.
Yeah, well. Hang on. Okay. Brent's recommending turning off the printer temporarily to see if that helps. Am I still correctly?
Yep.
Okay, hang on. I rebooted.
Crackle's gone.
Yeah. I'm just shutting down everything that's potentially causing issues. Okay, well, there we go. I don't want to close that. So hopefully that has brought me down to the only thing that's open now is a notepad.
Gotcha.
Which I can go on ahead and just copy the instructions that I'm getting from that, because I actually do have one web page. Because somebody is talking about how to build this. So I'm doing, or I've been having a problem with building my little cars for oh, you're gonna play that game, damn it. Okay, fine. I'm really aggravated with this new, we're gonna save everything as a web model so that you can't save it, because we like it when you can't save things off the internet. Things like, hey, mimic these settings exactly like this, which means I have to leave this web page open forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do that. Because part of this, I think, is that there is a memory leak in there's a memory leak in Google, so in Chrome. And so what I think happens is after a while, it leaks memory out until you have nothing. So the longer I leave a web page open, the more it becomes this problem. Now we are down to literally just Restream at this point, and I can save this because I saved all the instructions on how to do this. And I'll come back to that page. It's the Daz forum. I just don't want to. I put a how do I do this in the Daz forum, and the biggest problem, of course, is people are putting questions there all the time. So that thread is going to be on page 17 before the end of the month. You know.
Yeah.
So finding the thread again is going to be difficult. Not impossible, just difficult. So yeah. I was leaving the thread open, which was fine, but you know. Okay, let's see if we go robotic now. I'll start getting back to work.
Well, I'm not hearing it, so
it's a good start. I'm not ready to start the chaos yet. There will be chaos, but it hasn't started yet. I legitimately think it's a memory leak. However, I expect trouble to begin now. So, Brent, you were the one that had said check in with Ron, and I did. And he had said something to the effect of, we don't want it to look like all the other covers. That's why we sent it to you, which I thought was really cool.
Cool.
Because it doesn't look like the other covers. And I was saying that, I was like, I feel like this doesn't look like your other covers. And he was like, that's exactly why we sent it to you. We wanted it to look different. Okay.
Well, that's one way of doing it.
Yep. Well, and that's nice because, I mean, legitimately, I'm going to have a hard time making it look like the other covers. I've tried. It's really hard. I just don't have the same skill set. So it's been really difficult. So I'm kind of glad that that's the case. I appreciate Brent's observation, and it's a good point. A good, solid point.
So me and Bill found out, you know that anime that I've been telling you that I've been really trying to find?
Mm-hmm.
Which I saw like back in the day on like when sci-fi would like have that anime power hour type deal.
Yeah.
Gale Force Internal, which later would become
Gale Force 9.
Yeah, which later would become Bubblegum Crisis. Historically, it feeds into Bubblegum Crisis.
They're from the same universe because they're from the same.
Yeah,
They're from the same studio, but
yeah, different characters. They're in space. Bubblegum Crisis is on Earth. But yeah, me and Bill found the one that I was looking for. And it was the Eternal one.
mm-hmm.
Where they basically betrayed the trust of the crew that crash landed on a planet.
Yeah. Golf Force, yeah.
seeing the plot line now as an adult, it's a really freaking messed up thing that they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Kenichi Sonoda who did, who was part of, obviously, the artist behind dang it, I can't paint and talk.
In the show?
Who did Bubblegum Crisis. So Kenichi Sonoda is the same artist, and it was done by Umex and Artmic and all of those guys.
Yeah.
Which, in other words, you're not wrong.
Well, you named people that historically have done female characters very wrong in every storyline. Like, and by wrong I mean like screwed them over in a way that is not good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will add this picture as an example of what we are talking about right now, because that's a cell from Nine Little Golf Force.
Yep, those are the ones from Internal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I had a buddy who worked at Artmic. Long time ago. I don't think he has any other real pictures from that, because most of this is a Tenchi. That looks like... Yep, so it's the fact that he had anything from Golf Force was astonishing.
What got me was like the fact that they like straight up lied to the entire crew.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically to make a third race in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be in between the all-female race and the race that was like genderless.
Yep.
And that they were always at odds at. So
you're not wrong there either. But it being in the same universe-ish as Bubblegum Crisis is kind of complicated. That's why I was just saying it's kind of...
Yeah, the way that they explained it in a breakdown video, I didn't listen to the full thing, unfortunately. I need to get back to it and listen to the full thing. But the way that they were describing it is, I guess, Golf Force in general, as well as Bubblegum Crisis, started out as like a line of action figures. And the way that they advertised it was like they would take the action figures and make a manga using pictures of those action figures, creating storylines. And then they turned... So, like, I was just like, I've never heard of this with Bubblegum Crisis at all. But then they're like, well, that's the lead-in to Bubblegum Crisis. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
I feel like somebody's rewriting history.
Yeah, because I was just like, I understand.
I lived through this era. I was actually into anime at this point.
Yeah, because I know Golf Force Eternal, I know that one. They had a few characters that did like they did advertisements with like that type of theme to advertise the actual figures. But I thought it was after I saw those figures after I saw the movie. So am I correct in thinking that those came after?
I I mean, I've never heard of action figures leading anything in anime.
Okay, that's
Sounds-
okay.
That sounds very much like much more like what an American thing would do,
Yeah.
because um that sounds like somebody who's trying to fit anime and manga into a world that makes sense in American style, because to me manga manga pushes anime, and they
Yeah.
don't make action figures. If you made action figures or toys for an anime, that would literally be getting like 5% of your audience. So why would you do that? It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Models I could see, because you have adult modelers, but the methodology of manga and anime is set for the widest audience, which happens to be adults. So there's little of it that's designed for kids unless it was designed for kids. Like Doraemon was made for kids. So there's lots of toys that go with Doraemon.
I mean, I've seen these toys. They look like straight up model dolls. They don't
That's a
look
different
like
story. If you're talking about the Kotobukiya, like the posable dolls, those are not
do
toys.
they have those?
Yeah.
But those
Kotobukiya?
came out in the late '80s.
Yeah, I had Kotobukiya when I was there.
Okay, you were there in the late '80s.
No. But I was there. Um, Hang on, I'm checking to see if they're Kotobukiya Bubblegum Crisis. Yeah, I mean there were action figures that weren't Kotobukiya, but they were like the Moto Slave and stuff like that. But they were 8,000 yen. That's not a kid's toy.
Yeah,
9,000 yen. This one, oh my goodness. And now, of course, on the
yeah,
resale,
like that's what I mean. Like we looked up some of the prices on these things that they were saying that it was all based off of, and I'm like,
that's why I said
no
it sounds
parent in their
to me,
right, no parent in their right mind would spend this type of money.
it's yeah, that sounds to me like somebody was trying to make it fit in an American concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they were trying to make it understandable by saying action figures, but it's not action. That's not action figures. This would be in the I would call it more like the model, kind of that, also that kind of weird waifu sort of thing that some people get into. And
yeah. Basically,
but I definitely
if you watch the anime, what's it called? Um, Reincarnation of a jobless something, whatever.
love all the modern
Essentially, yeah, it's a more modern anime, so it has a huge freaking title.
right? I love that. That cracks me up. I was reincarnated as a slime only in Argentina and part-time as a part-time employee at McDonald's. Like, okay.
Yeah, right.
What?
Um, Devil's a part timer.
Yeah, right.
Um, so like in that series, there's a character that admonishes and admires the type of dolls that the reincarnation is making, and he was an otaku shut-in or neat,
Yep.
before he died in Japan for multiple years. Um, and so like that's what he did all day is he made those, and he starts making them in the series, and some guy gets like really fanatic with it, like as far as like fandom of his work. It's super weird.
Well, it's something that is. I mean, it's a thing where in the culture they're not discussing it. It's a you need to grow up sort of moment, but now, as with everywhere in the world, the geeks are starting to inherit the earth. And so it's not as looked down on anymore because the older generation now are people like us who now are finally in control and saying, hey, knock it off, you know?
Yeah.
You let people do whatever they want to do with their free time. Stop judging them because they don't go fishing, you know?
No, guy, you're supposed to go fishing. You're at that age.
I know.
Put this worm on a hook.
I would be such a loser at fishing. Oh my god. It would be so horrible.
I can just like picture you doing it because I've done fishing, like never really discussed like the activities I've done as a kid, but
Right.
like I'm from Florida. You can
Right.
imagine.
Sure. And there's nothing wrong with fishing.
Yeah, I have done fishing, and I've had arguments with people online because I would go out on a boat and it would be nothing but children on the boat. You know, like there would be no adult. And like people don't realize in Florida to get a boating license, you just have to be 12 years old.
Yeah.
You know, I think after the last kids getting lost and stuff, I think they raised it, but
But I mean, that's totally fine. You can fish. There's nothing wrong with fishing. I'm just that's like the classic, what you do as an adult is go fishing and drink beer and whatever, and you don't actually sit around and build models. And I'm like, that's fine. But now our generation's like, no, actually, we do just sit around and build models, and you can make fun of us all you want, but it's not going to change the fact that we do that, and that's what we do, and we're perfectly content. And we have money. Therefore, you can whine all you want. It's not going to change anything, And so that now the companies are like, oh, well, and that became a thing. And so now it's not so bad to be a geek, so much so that it was fascinating talking to the consulate general who secretly told us that he was into model building, and I'm like, we're geeks. You don't have to secretly tell us these things. We're not going to judge. We're totally cool with it, man. You do you. And he was, the whole thing was that he was like talking about how it's acceptable now in different cultures. It's becoming more and more acceptable to be that way and be geeky, where it has never been before, really.
Well, I mean, in America, I can see where it was, because when I was a kid growing up, like there was times where I just wouldn't want to go outside, and I would be inside and I'd be doing stuff inside, but I would be told like, you must be depressed. Why are you so lonely? You're always indoors.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, and here I am. I'm just like, looking at my sister who's telling me this, and I'm just like, I felt like always I had to always say, you do realize my skin burns way easier than yours. Like, not all of us got the tanning gene.
But I mean, that's not just. I mean, that's true. I'm talking more kind of like the general operation of things. You know what I mean?
No, but I can only speak for why I stayed indoors.
Sure, but it's not just indoors. It's
Yeah.
you being you, whatever you that is. Things are changing in our culture. Now you can be you, and it's okay. Whereas it used to be not so okay.
Yeah.
You really couldn't be you. And that's something that kind of makes me sad about, my growing up and wondering, what kind of person would I have been if I had been allowed to be me and it had been celebrated as a kid instead of told to, that I was not doing so good and downplayed and, abused for it and stuff like that. What kind of person would I have been if I had, been celebrated on that?
Well, I mean, I told Bill today, like, the main reason why I stopped reading as a kid was because I was told that it was, that I shouldn't. I should go outside and play.
Yep. Hello, Donald.
Hi, Donald.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Donald. Where would we be if we hadn't been picked on as a kid? Would we have been in a better place now?
Well, it's kind of like there was a movie, I think, where Bruce Almighty, I think, covered it. I think that's the movie I'm thinking of. If not, someone will correct me.
Say it wrong on the internet and someone will invariably materialize.
Yeah. Anyways, Bruce basically grants his kid's wish or something. And when God comes back and sees that he did that, he basically was like, that kid was supposed to be like a big time poet, and he was supposed to use the pain that he had as a child in his work, and you ruined that plan that I had set up. And I'm just like, no one posed the question, do you really need to have the pain in order to have the art?
Sometimes. I'm not disagreeing.
Sometimes, yes.
I pulled from my pain.
But, also at the same time, I've been thinking about it. Why do we always incline that artists have to have pain in order to make art?
Yeah.
I know artists that make art, and they've had very good lives.
Mm-hmm.
Lives their entire life. They were never picked on, nothing like that. They just liked art and lived their life.
They can still make statements.
Huh?
You know what I mean? They can still make statements, because I feel like art has a mission. Art has a job,
Yeah.
Our job as artists is to make a statement of some sort, say a thing. We're trying to say something. It's what art is all about.
Or say nothing at all by not making a statement.
Well, but I'm just saying that that's the nature of art. Because even if you're not saying something, that's still saying something,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a thing, and I get that, and I understand that.
All right. So, after almost a full year, this is completely inked.
Look at that. That took a long ass time. I don't know if you'd be a nobody, Donald, without pain. Is pain what propelled you? I don't know. This is back to that belief that humans only operate if you beat the crap out of them, you know? And I really don't like that. You know, we don't do a good job unless you beat us really good and solid. Feels like somebody's like,
and that's what I was trying to get at with like. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, with what Bruce Almighty was kind of saying is that, you know, well, he needs his pain. Well, yes and no. I mean,
after it was said, like I think Bruce's next line after that is, "What makes you think that he does need it?"
Yeah.
And then God's response is like, "Well, you're right. He, it's just going to take him longer to become the poet." And like with that attitude, then why make someone's life easier if you're an omnipotent being? Why can't you just make things a little bit easier if the road still leads there?
Yeah.
Not everyone needs the hardship if they're going to be getting to the same goal with their fulfillment in life.
Yeah. Well, and that is sort of the ongoing question is, I mean, I was having that discussion earlier with somebody about religion and how, because it was
that was a little bit more of a hot topic for me because religion and me, I have some issues with some of the people right now that are using religion as a thing.
But that's not what I was talking about. I was in a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can sympathize without having to empathize. You know what I mean? Like, I know nothing at all about living in a spaceship 500 years from now. But I can still make it a good story. I don't need to have suffered, or even more importantly, like I was saying this morning with Pepper, some of my stories are holdover stories from Star Trek. And like one of them was, what if you made a transporter clone of a girl and, and, stuff like that.
I'll be right back, guy.
Okay. I don't know. It feels like the requirement of is a little bit spurious. I mean, I can write about people who are slaves. I don't need to be a slave in order to understand it. I agree that you can make it more in depth, but I think people are valuing that maybe too much. I don't know. Like feeling like you have to have been a slave in order to understand slavery.
Yeah. Well, that was a weird place to pick up where we left off on that conversation.
Well, I was just saying you don't have to, what I was saying was I can understand slavery without having been a slave.
Well, I mean, I think that's every human being.
I think slavery is a fear, so it makes it easy to understand it. We're afraid.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be a slave. That's a fear. It's a core fear. It's one of the reasons why
I know a few people. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. No kink shaming. No kink shaming. Yeah.
Yeah, but I know a few people that definitely would be like, "Whoa, you need to back up."
Yeah.
I enjoy this.
But legitimately, even when you are a slave, though, they're not a slave in that instance.
No,
it's just one of those things that I've been kind of thinking about a lot. I don't know. I mean, I see where people are coming from. I get kind of what we're talking about. I don't know. It's hard to say because you're not
Yeah,
totally
I
wrong,
get,
Donald.
I
I
get what
get
you're
it.
saying, though.
I get it, but I mean, like I said, whenever I write my stories, I don't know. If I want to connect with somebody, I don't know. Am I connecting because of the fact that we're socially awkward? Because we're both. But then what if I want to write about a perfectly normal human being that doesn't have ADD? Am I not qualified? You know? And that
Well,
becomes sort of the next question.
but also at the same time, like, what if you basically like just look at the character and go, okay, well, this person definitely doesn't have ADD or ADHD or whatever they're calling it these days.
It's all right. It's all right. ADD is fine. ADHD is a thing. I don't have it. I wish I did because I'd be much more. I'd probably lose more weight, but okay.
Yeah. Which I find very weird that you say even that to me about ADD and ADHD difference.
Okay.
Because I know some people who have ADD and are way more hyper than people that have ADHD.
But that also could be personality. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily straight up because you're an ADDer or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
That could be just personality. Some of us are more spastic than others. I was much more spastic as a child than I am now. Obviously, I'm much calmer at this point.
Well, I mean, I called my mom because, she lives in Florida, right? I'm not calling her. I didn't call her recently because of what's going on in Florida that's hitting Tampa.
Yeah.
I called her just to say hello, see how she's doing. I haven't talked to her in a while.
Right.
And my mom's response is, "Are you calling me because of the hurricane?" I was like, "No, I was calling you because I haven't talked to you in a while." And she's like, "Oh," and I was like, "And why would I call you for that when the hurricane's not even going to get near you? It's going up to Tampa." And she's like, "You're right. It's not going to come anywhere near me. Tell that to your sister." And I was like, "No, that's another story." But it's just like as a kid, like I just thought hurricanes were fun. I don't see why people get all upset about it or basically feel like the world's gonna end, and then they flood the grocery store. Like they're not gonna see another grocery store again until like 4 or 5 days later. Like. It's kind of like on how if you people.
I feel like I have gotten completely lost on what we were talking about now. Because
I think I'm just rambling. Okay. But basically, what I'm more or less describing is like
totally do that.
People panic. People panic, and I think people with ADHD also panic when they're younger because a lot of the times the trigger of a panic mode. For them is kind of like it's different for everyone.
Yeah. Also true.
And if you have them when you're an adult, you could be completely calm, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happens, and you're in panic mode all over again.
Oh, I see. You're talking about your friends who panic or get frenetic.
Yeah.
ADD is a complicated thing. If you have somebody in your world who's ADHD, you can tell. They do things like frenetically pace and talk to themselves, which is something that ADDers can do also, but not to the extreme. And so it's a little different. when an ADHDer does it. It's the same critter, just different expression.
Yeah.
My little guy has ADHD, and that's what he does. He wanders around the house talking to himself, and he can't sit still for very long.
I can sit still for very long periods of time. Don't get me wrong. But I sit there and I talk to myself.
Yep. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about it that's different, and the reason why it's significant is that he's compulsive about talking to himself, and that's a little harder.
Well,
you will know that if someone else is in the room, you're not talking to yourself because they'll think you're weird.
Well, the thing is like I do it at home or I do it in the car.
Yeah, I do too.
And like
most normal people do.
Yeah, Bill will sit there and go to me, like, say to me, like, hey, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
But
that's not the same kind of thing. I'm having a hard time kind of expressing this.
No. He, even if it's, I'm talking to myself, he thinks I'm talking to... He thinks it's the trauma stuff that I deal with.
Yeah. I know.
And sometimes it's not the trauma stuff. Sometimes it's just me talking to myself.
Right. But a good example of this is that a couple of days ago, I was sitting in the car with everybody in the car with me, and whatever was going through my brain suddenly repiped to my mouth. Mid-sentence. It was bizarre.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about too.
So... mid-sentence said the words, and I was like, well, that's weird. So anyway.
No, I know what you're talking about. I do it too. That's what I'm trying to say, guy.
Yeah. Well, didn't you say you have ADHD?
I have Asperger's.
Well, that's on the spectrum.
ADHD.
Yeah, it's all in the same spectrum.
ADHD symptoms.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
Symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lighter version of what you've got. You have a darker version of what I've got. Whatever you want to call that. What is it? Whatever is the opposite of a lighter version, heavier version.
I would say it's more or less it's like ADHD and ADD had a baby and then gave it steroids.
Well, it's all autism, is what it is. It's all in the same spectrum as autism. It's just that you and I have lighter versions of it. We're more functional in society, for what it's worth.
Yeah, right now they're trying to get rid of the whole saying functional.
Well, there are legitimately non-functional versions of it.
Yeah.
Where you really legitimately cannot operate in society properly. And that's a problem. But one of the other things happening is that people are learning how to operate that now and make it work. So people to still work in society even if they aren't operable, because then they can become operable at some point. So
my whole thing is if you sit there and deny the fact that your kid can go to college after you get a diagnosis of this kid is on the spectrum, I think you as a parent, if you're not willing to show that your child can become something, you're detrimental to your own child at that point.
Well, yeah, that's true of anybody though.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I both know that there are parents out there who have done far more damage to their children. You know what I mean? Even before ADD and ADHD and things like that, they've managed to wipe their kids' dreams completely off the planet.
No, I know a few people. I know a few people that they had college funds all set up for their children and everything, and then they basically drained them the moment that they got the diagnosis about their kid.
Yep, that's what I mean. Is that's not
right in my mind, because you don't know what that kid's going to go on to do.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the diagnosis
Oh
state.
no, they legitimately said they got the
No.
diagnosis.
You're
And that's
missing what
why
I'm
they
saying.
did it.
What I'm saying is that's not the blaming the words inoperable. That's
Yeah,
bad parenting.
yeah,
That has, I mean, because part of the problem is inoperable or non-functional. People are trying to remove that when you need that diagnosis to say that this child needs extra help. Because what's happening is instead we're getting the other thing, which is we don't say inoperable anymore. Instead, we just hope that this guy will survive in society. So we just leave him alone because nobody realizes that he doesn't function well. And so you end up just removing the words, which then promptly sets up the situation where they don't teach them how to function. That's a problem. And that's so, I mean, because it's back to I have a problem when society does we're removing the term because it sounds bad.
Well,
I get that.
They've done this with the several terms.
Yes.
Several terms. I'm not going to go into all the terms because they're
No.
all dealing with the psychological field. And granted, some of the terms, yes, we can
Some of
use
them
an
suck.
update because they suck. Yeah, you're right. They do suck. But other terms like when you say things like, "Oh, this offends this person. This offends this person," I'm like, yes, but like these terms were terms prior to this. People are taught them. It's not going to change overnight.
Yeah.
Unless you're educating every single person in America not to say them.
Right. But on the same token, in this instance, it bothers me because I think non-functional autism is a good term to know. I agree. You've got parents who are like, well, he's just broken, never work ever again. Bye. Yeah. And that's a different story. But it's kind of like my stepmom who has cerebral palsy.
Mm-hmm.
She's technically non-functional in a lot of different ways. You can't just stick her in a car and hope she'll drive. You have to give her special equipment. You have to give her. She's able to do it, but by default, she is non-functional in this area, or that area.
Yeah.
And saying no, she's perfectly able is great, but then you end up kind of floundering with these people. They end up going, well, they said I was able, but I can't do this, so I guess I must just really suck. It must be my fault, not something that can be corrected by.
Well, it's kind of like when you see people who raise awareness to the plight of what's going on with a disabled person's life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've watched a few like TikToks and stuff like that where the person's like, I need to get into this building for classes, such and such, but this is the ramp I have to go up. By the way, my class is right here, and points to the map, and like, it's all the way at the other side of the building, and this person had to enter through where they take the trash out in the building in order to get into the building.
Right. And that's an issue.
Yeah.
And that's the other problem that all I was just trying to kind of get at is, yeah, I totally get it. You don't want to have your parent go, well, that's it. I don't have to. But sometimes we're not able to just do the job, and we need some assistance. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I also never had a problem with disabled because vehicles are disabled and you just re-able them. Or, you know what I mean? Like, and me being sort of a vehicle guy, that seems totally reasonable to me. I don't know. I have never had I
get what you're saying.
I think I need to fix it, which I feel like is what you should be thinking when you're dealing with, people who need assistance. Hey, how can I help you?
Yeah, but
What
then
can
you
I
have
do to
the
make this
people
better?
who then you have the people who you basically are trying to help, and they're like, "I don't need your help."
Well, that's a different story. If they don't need my help, I'm good.
Yeah, and
There will come a time, and
I
it's not that far
unfortunately
away.
I've
There
been
will
in
come
that
a time where I'm
position
going to need
though,
help.
where the person's like, "I don't need your help," blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Okay, well, fine, I won't help you." And then the next moment, they're like, "Okay, fine, I'm sorry, I do need your help," and I'm like, "Okay, what do you need me to do?" And they're like, "I can't stand up, so can you just grab me that thing off the shelf?"
Right. There's nothing
You know,
wrong with that.
there's one thing of being independent, and there's like another thing of like kind of spurring off people that are willing to actually help you when you need to.
Sure.
And
But I feel like that's a
different subject.
I feel like that's a personality issue. There's a stage that you
Yes,
kind of go through.
I can say yes and no to that because I've met people who they're like, "Oh well, I don't need help. I don't need this. I don't need that. Blah blah blah." And then they're like, then they'll say like, "Oh, but I did get help for this, but like the person treated me badly, so now I won't ask ever again."
Yeah, but when
So I can kind of see
I
like where some people just basically are like they get burned by getting the help because then they get a snide comment that makes them feel uncomfortable to do it again. That if that helps where my mind was at with that.
yeah, I wasn't saying that. You kind of went off script, but that's okay.
There's no
Um,
script for this show, guy. We do everything live.
but well, it's one of my frustrations because I am disabled as well in some degree. And one of those disablings is not being able to say what goes through my brain easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's not the same as, say, having an inability to move, but it is somewhat destructive. I think I have, like I said, I think I have actually kind of done damage to my cause with the school because I stuck my foot in my mouth the other day.
The school that you work for right now?
Yeah, I didn't know that the guys I was in the meeting with were the guys that invented the original curriculum that I want very badly to change. And so I just kind of was like, I know that this was a good idea back in the day, but it really isn't a good idea now. And, and I didn't catch on until one of them was like, look, just because you teach differently than we do doesn't mean it's a bad curriculum. I was like, oh.
Well, let me kind of back you up there. Curriculums are meant to change over time. They can't stay the same 100%.
It doesn't matter. Ego is in the way.
I'm just validating you. That's all.
I appreciate it. Truth of the matter is, the teachers are confused, the students are confused, the curriculum needs to be changed. Doesn't matter whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening is the teachers are confused in certain areas. The students are confused in certain areas. So we need to work on the curriculum. But yeah. Because of the nature of the way that I presented it and the way that I talked about it, the odds of me actually getting that to happen anytime in the next, say, 6 months to a year, kind of slim now. And I will just be back to just teaching in the classroom and, keeping my head low and doing what I was doing. And that might even be completely the end of my plan to help out here in this spot. And that's, ADD. Thank you, ADD.
Yes.
Glad I have you sometimes. That's what ADD does. It's one of the things. It's not disabled in the same way as like my stepmom, who's, she's got a walker and sometimes she's got to have braces. And I mean, that's a lot of ugly. that sometimes happens with her. But on the flip side, she doesn't have ADD. We make a good team, the two of us. If she talks and I walk, we're good. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing, is like looking at it as a disability. And I notice the way that whenever I talk about, hey, I'm sorry, I have ADD, this is going to be an issue, I notice how many people are like, look, don't be down on yourself. And I'm like, there's a difference between understanding your limitations and being down on myself. I actually know that some of the pluses of ADD are pretty awesome. So I'm not that bad. I just get annoyed with whenever the negatives of ADD get in my way. And sometimes it's like, I get it. Like, I know that there will be a day when likely I will have to move by wheelchair. It's just inevitable. I've done damage to my back. I've done damage to my knees. It's inevitable. And I know that. So I'm trying to kind of look at it in a different way. Okay, what can I do to make the inevitability of this fun and entertaining? And you know what I mean? Like trying to get a different frame of mind. And that's, I don't know. I don't know where I was headed with this because it's totally going.
You were describing disabilities that are non-visual versus visual.
Yeah, there are obvious visible disabilities, and then there are non-visible ones. Yeah. I do not need the the handicap spots. I do not need them. But there are times where I'm like, well, I am definitely not the same when it comes to things. We were just talking about that today because I was talking to Amanda, and I have been extremely clear about I don't want any money control. I don't want to be in control of money. And we were talking about there was a conflict of some sort, and they were like, well, Guy didn't help us with this cashing out of things. And I was like, of course I didn't. I've been extraordinarily clear about this. And she was like, yeah, I mean, you've been very clear. You don't handle money or deal with money. And I said, actually, let me quantify that. If you give me two $100 bills and tell me that I'm supposed to use it only for the con, we're good. Right? Because that makes total sense. I can keep it in a different pocket. I can spend it only when I need to. And then I'll give you back whatever is left over because that's a simple function. If you give me access to a bank account, I will forget that I did this one thing. I will forget to sign this out. I'll forget to put the paperwork won't get done, and it will become a financial disaster. That's bad. But if it's a simple function, like you could even give me like 10 $100 bills and carry $1,000 around, I'm good with that. That's fine because it's simple. But I know my limitations. And she was like, oh, but Guy, and I'm like, no. I'm not down on myself. I'm perfectly happy.
Again,
this has a great benefit for me. I'm never the one to blame if the finances go wonky. Look at that. I mean, you can right there, if someone's like, somebody is stealing money from the convention, we can pretty much rule me out. I have access to nothing. And I kind of like that, anything because
and also at the same time, like someone like calling you out saying like, well, you didn't help. I mean, like you've been doing that convention for 20-something plus years.
Yeah,
if you've never handled the money by now, you're not going to do it ever.
Yeah,
ever.
It's it was a director didn't help and I was in charge, so that's what they were really saying. So, but that's okay. But that's what Amanda was saying. She's like, you've been very clear about that from the very beginning. You don't deal with money. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't deal with money. I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
I mean, like working at a bank would be like trauma for me.
Trauma inducing?
Yeah. Because I'd be responsible for other people's money. I don't even want to be responsible for like Like if you and I said, let's go in together for a Kickstarter, I'm like, no. You can run all of the money.
Well, first of all, if we were doing that,
dollar,
me and you are on the same page.
And I would give you all the pieces, and you would run the money, and I would be fine.
No.
Well, we'd give it to Bill. Really, what we do is we give all that stuff to Bill, or we give it to Mariah, because they're both much better at it than we are.
Yes.
But I was talking over you because I didn't want you to derail my thought process.
No, that's fine. I figured that much.
Because of course I know that we will get into the how you can't run money either thing, and I get that. It's all right. It wasn't the point. Whether you can or cannot run money is not the point that I was trying to make.
No, the thing is, I can run, okay, so I can run money, but if it's like a bigger, larger project, like a Kickstarter or something like that, I need a person to run it for me.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people do, but I think I'm in far, far worse shape than the average Joe in that instance. I think we're doing good.
Yeah.
In that I feel like there's a certain amount of, I might be going robotic. Hang on. We're saving. Anyway, wasn't really the point I was trying to make there either. Is more along the lines of,
I mean, right now I feel like I'm taking you too literally. That's a big issue with Asperger's.
Or ADD or autism, anybody on spectrum. I like to use on spectrum because I feel like we're all just the same with different...
Well, ADD and ADHD are fairly new to the spectrum disorder label.
It's because people just assumed we were just belligerent.
Yep.
We didn't express as obvious upfront problems until people started to realize that we were expressing obvious upfront problems.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different. Because, like, I can see, definitely can see when you and I do the same bits together. Like, we're doing the same problem. You know what I mean? Like, we're running this same failure program. And I can see it, and it's clear. My buddy has an autistic son, and he does the same weird things. And by weird, I mean just it's clear that we are all on. I mean, like, I know that you have weird sensibilities about food and rules and regulations about when, where, and how to deal with, you know, food, eating, drinking, that kind of stuff. That, you know, relationships, stuff like that. All of that's the same kind of critter. Like, I will not, I can't, if you drink out of my drink, that's it. I'm done. You can have it. You know what I mean? Like, that's my weird. And I know it. I have managed to get to the point where I can handle it if Mariah drinks out of it. And to some degree with Kai. But it's...
So, yeah, I get what you're saying with that. That's like more of like the side of germ.
Mm-hmm. Germophobic.
Side of things. The germophobic side of things.
Yep.
Which I get. Don't get me wrong. I get those. Trust me. I get those. What I don't like about when I have one of those is when I have those.
Yeah.
And who I have those with. Because if I'm supposed to appear normal and it's like a meeting, like a lunch meeting or something like that, and I get one of those, it's horrible. Because I look like an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's... Oh. I feel you, brother.
Yeah.
like so much. And that's what
Like,
I
I
mean
mean,
by
I've like literally had people in my home doing a business meeting in my house. Like not recently, but like back in the day before 2020, like in the early 2000s. And I literally was like looking at the person and I thought I was like saying everything correctly. And then they're like, hey, I drove all this way out here. Do you even want this job? I'm like, what the? What did I say to bring that on?
Camden?
Hello.
No, we're not Camden. Neither one of us are Camden. However, welcome to the show.
Welcome. We have another person that says Fat Kid James 23. I'm not sure.
Are we related? No, we're not even
No.
remotely related. No.
Nope. We're just friends.
I'm glad that Camden loves the streams. So, no, we're the closest we've got that makes us related in any way is that Pepper and I are from the south part of the southern culture of the United States. We're not even from the same state.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, that's about
That's
right.
pretty much
Yeah.
it. I think that's all we can really do. No, Roll Tide, Alabama. No, Pepper's from Florida, and I'm from Houston. So
To be very clear, I grew up in Florida, and I would travel during the summers and spend most of my time in other states like North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, and like Virginia.
yeah, and honestly, even though I was born in Texas and raised by a family that was Southern, I'm actually Coloradan. That was actually something we were talking about earlier today. I claim Colorado as my home state, but I still cook with a lot of butter when I cook it and stuff. We were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Well, I think like the weirdest thing when you're cooking food and you're trying to recreate food that you grew up on, and you realize the amount of butter that's in some things. It's hysterical.
I made fettuccine Alfredo today, and my wife, who by the way is pretty much a straight up Californian hippie, as far as like raised in the way she was, her culture and things like that. I put like half a stick of butter in the fettuccine, and she was like, "Did you put butter in here?" I was like, "Maybe." Trying not to get in trouble. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I'm kind of fond of her. She's a pretty cool person. She's a good person. She also got her COVID shot yesterday, so she's not feeling good.
oh, Maya.
Yeah, she got her COVID shot, so she's got a headache, and it's not treating her well. So, but she deals with kids, so that's a thing.
Yep, that's what you have to do to keep your job for teachers.
She has Stockholm disease. I don't know what that is. She just has a headache.
Yeah. No, I mean, I actually have. Last time I went back to North Carolina, I still have like the stone ground grits that I purchased before coming back to Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Type deal. So that's like one thing that I always missed from that part of the East Coast in Colorado.
Oh.
Well, no, stone ground grits.
Stone ground grits. Yeah, you're right. That's a different thing.
You know, not quick grits, but like ones that take like a half an hour or like a little bit under a half an hour to cook.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's like the steel cut
Steel cut oats.
oats. Yeah, Mariah loves the steel cut oats.
Yeah.
So, I'm not 100% sure, James. I'm not 100% sure.
What's the question?
I'm not sure what we're talking about, but I'm sure she does. She's in bed though, so I won't ask her. She's talking about a specific type of nut, I believe, but no idea what they are. I've never heard of them, so it doesn't mean that I probably have not
Hold
eaten.
on. I'm not listening.
Probably.
Nuts.
Sometimes she does things. She's, a thing. That's the thing. Sometimes she does them. So, all right. I think we're getting there with this guy. It looks solid up close. I'm digging it. And it looks pretty decent far away. His face doesn't disappear like it used to. His face used to really blend into the background there. Okay.
So, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that we're definitely not going to get that answer on camera.
Gotcha.
And just know, like, we've kicked people off the stream for worse.
Oh, are we dealing with that again? Be nice, guys. Play nice. Yeah. I'm okay with him playing nice. Play nice and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't need to kick him off. I don't actually want to kick anybody off. I like people being here. We're just artists. We're just drawing.
Here too. Just have to be respectful. That's all that I ask.
It does look like you're cooking, Pepper.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it also doesn't help that I'm hungry, but I'm not wanting to eat food. It's really weird.
No, I know that one. Gucci samushi. There's a Japanese word for it. I have that problem.
I just want to cook food.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a different word.
Yeah, no, I want to make food, but just not eat it.
Yeah, ryori samishi. That's what I would call that one.
All right.
I love when the Japanese have a word for something that we don't really have a word for. It's really cool.
Yeah. All right. I'm doing the underpainting of this guy. Man.
Okay, we're underpainting. Oh man, you need a lot more light. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry about my lighting, folks. It sucks. Hold on.
It's a work in progress. He's working on it now. That's better.
Let me see.
Can you turn on the light transfer or turn on the camera and transfer?
Yeah, I'm going to turn on the other camera and just show it.
It works.
But I'm not going to stay on the transfer because when I have larger paintings like this, it's been a pain in the tuchus.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Here we go. Here we go. So,
all right.
This is what I'm working on over here. So, yeah, so I have a magic shop deal, but this is a thing that I've been working on and off. for a very long time. So, all right.
I like it. It's looking good. I'm going to put in some. Looks like I'm going to put in some. I don't need my color codes anymore, but I'm going to put in some of this bamboo in the background. So let's go ahead and start messing with some of that bamboo. So what I'm working on, gentlemen, or gentle folk, because I'm not sure. What I'm working on, gentle folk, is a cover for a book. I have a book cover that I'm working on, and it is it's a Chinese folk tale. And so trying to kind of match sort of this effect of this Chinese art effect. So I'm kind of going with that one there. And so we're going to keep doing a wet bleed blender, but I'm going to bring in a watery brush, right? Because this watery brush will lay down color. It's not going to lay it down. I got to put it in the color. It's the right color. Where's it going down? What layer did you put this on, guy? What? Okay, I'm getting color out there. Okay. So I'm going to lay down some watercolor brush code here, but I'm going to put it on a layer up so that we're not dealing with really need that one to be more of, I think I need a round brush. And come down here, go to 17 point. Now, one of the things I was noticing was the way they indicate bamboo is by showing the joint and the joists between the stalks of bamboo. So I'm going to mimic that here. I kind of do that same thing and just give it just a little bit more like that, and then just giving it that joint there. I'm letting it fade off to the bottom. And then I'm looking at the way that the painting here sort of indicates more of how they're going to put in the bamboo leaves. I'm going to go back to that watercolor. I'm just explaining it. You don't need to. I'm going to just kind of do the same thing here. I'm just going to kind of like that. There we go. There we go. All right. Looks like bamboo also sort of spurs out as a plant goes, so there's some kind of ghostly bamboo back here, and then move to this point here. Okay, get it back there. There we go, kind of like that. There we go.
Sorry, everyone. I switched things. It was time for me to switch to do writing.
It's all good. We're streaming for another 15 minutes anyway, so we're almost out.
So, Guy, I had a quick question. Did you know that you could take mineral spirits and go over color pencils to blend them, but keep the tooth of the paper?
No, that's remarkably useful.
Yeah, I found that out today from one of the people that I follow on YouTube and stuff.
Seriously useful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will send you the video that I found.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I will put it where I know you'll find it.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds dirty.
Our private chat looks locked. I don't know why our private chat's locked. I don't know. Maybe that's just saying that it's private and that you...
My youngest godson turned 17 today.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I know. I met him when he was a baby.
Like I said, we can talk about my nibbling. It always bothers me about them too. The fact that I've been trying to convince them to learn to drive because they're way past 18 is, another story.
Well, the good news is his older brother got his license. And when we were talking about the disability stuff earlier, he's like one of those kids which kind of quantifies in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people thought that he was not going to ever get a license.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way that he deals with people.
Yep.
But he got his license.
Good job.
And the younger one is 17, so he's also working towards getting his license. He's not in the same spot as his older brother, but,
Yeah. Yep. All right. Feeling like that's giving a good feel on that side. I think we are almost ready to call this guy done. Do a couple little touch-ups here and there. We really should have much more. Impact in the sand right here. Okay. Now the next thing I need to do is just a little bit of chaos and we'll be good. Because no picture can be good without chaos. How will we know it's in my picture if I don't have chaos? Right? I mean, this is the nature of things.
Yes.
I will even call this layer chaos. Blissful and happy chaos. That's some spatter. We can put in some spatter. More than that. Spatter the picture a little. Adding some chaos to it's always good. And it's just a lot to this thing. I'm going ahead and do an overlay on it so it's not obvious. A little bit of chaos gives it just a little bit of... Nope. Soft. I need the soft one. There we go. Tone it down just a hair. Bring it back. There we go. Love my chaos. We also have, I'll go over to my wall brushes because he's got some good chaos ones that I like really well. And if I can find them, I can reuse them. Keep forgetting where he put them though. I feel like my brushes are sort of complicated. That's the brushes I like. Weird things like stars. I don't want stars. I like stars, but that's the wrong kind of stars. Because this one comes across as more like that. Looks more like damage. And it's kind of hard to see on the screen because my screen's calibrated, but the monitor is not necessarily calibrated. We got 9 minutes left, Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that was like just dots, and I can't find it now. Aggravating, because he had some really good just random dots. Made me liked all of that. Oh, okay. Well, luckily I can read Chinese, so that helps a little. And I can't read Chinese perfectly, but I definitely can. The characters still mean the same things. Little something. Are these just? Oh, they are. That's good. Not gonna argue with that. Not what I need, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna try to finish this underpainting a little bit more. Then I'm gonna do the same treatment that I've been doing with the other painting I've been doing.
That's fair.
And then I think it should be good. I'm just hoping I don't have as many layers as I did the other one. As much as I would like to say that they have different surface things, the one I'm now working on is a much different and bigger surface.
Right.
Like volume wise. So yeah.
Kumori. Clouds. Clouds aren't bad. Keep that. Yeah. I do this every time. Okay, so it actually has little letters in it, so maybe I'm not going to use that one ever. It's got little letters in it. It says row or something. I don't know. That's what we're looking for. That guy here. He's the level of chaos that I really like. No, but I had another layer. So all I did was just confuse myself. Be on the chaos layer. Ooh, that's maybe too big. Maybe that's just too big. I don't know, maybe this is not as good of a one as I thought it would be. There we go. Kind of getting into this fray here. And so Alexa did just say 5 minutes remain, so we're at the end of our show here. Last call. Oh, right. I will add a new layer. I'm curious what this guy looks like. He's not bad. There. Just enough to give it a feel of something going on. I'm liking it. What do you think?
I mean, maximize the screen so I can see it some more better.
I will do very much that. Which is
That's me. Thanks.
now you're on top of me.
I wish I could zoom it in more.
To which zone?
I get the feel that you guys are going for and stuff. It's just that one character, the blue face, when it's really small, it's very hard to read.
I feel the same way. We may still have to kind of work on him. You know what that is? That's a background issue, I'll bet. Wonder if I can do...
Yeah, because it's like you have this blue, but then like it's like that greenish, dark green in the background. And it kind of doesn't really mesh well with that blue. And I understand it's probably the character. There's nothing you can do. You need that blue. But
no, but there's stuff I can do to kind of make it read better.
Yeah.
I can bring the color back down on the watercolor on the background.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can bring... like that, and that helps him pop more.
Yeah, it makes him pop more. It seems like it seems like he's just kind of lost a little compared to the other characters. But that's just my personal viewpoint.
No, he's been a problem since the very beginning of this painting, so you're not wrong. I've been trying to kind of bring him out more. I mean, like any ideas? I can make, like I said, I can make that mountain behind him better.
Well, the mountain did help. It brought him forward instead of made it look like he was like pushing everyone back.
Mm-hmm.
So like that does help.
Maybe he needs a defining line?
I think a defining line, and because you can like even when the picture's smaller, the other two's face, like the other two characters in there that you see their face, you can read the face. When he gets smaller, and even right now, just like looking at him, it's really hard to read that there's a face on that character.
Fair.
And again, like I get the feel that you guys are trying to go for, but like I don't know if the feel is what's making like the styling that you're doing it in is making it happen.
No, I think this really is straight up something's weird with this particular character because he hasn't read well since I started drawing him, and that's not on Airship. That's not on Ron. That's on me. And that, I mean, it's okay because I'm an artist and this is what we do. So I'm totally cool with he doesn't read, so we'll need to work on him tomorrow morning, which I'm okay with. I'm totally cool with it. We'll work on him tomorrow morning. And I'm glad you caught it because I feel the same way, but the problem I've got, of course, is just like everybody. When we spend the entire time when I spend the entire time on a picture, it's so hard to see the problems.
Mm-hmm.
like it's really difficult to tell where our issue is there. And maybe what it is we just need to spin the hue on the background a little bit to make him pop more, because he's just the same color as the background. And maybe make him more of a purple blue and the background more of a green blue, so that they separate a little bit more. Maybe it's that simple.
Yeah, I think the other thing is you have the you have that really dark red,
That
and
is
then you have
dramatic.
like the pale blue, and it's like normally red and blue can play off of one another, but like there's no in between color to kind of mesh the two
Right.
things.
I
So
see what
maybe
you-
adding a little bit of purple for like a shadow would kind of help bridge it, but like I don't want to make it like blue in general print wise is like really hard, because sometimes when you try to print blue, it doesn't print blue, it prints purple.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So
I wonder if I were to try something real quick and see if this works. I'm just going to put in a white. I'm going to lay down some white real quick. Using that skin brush through here like this. See if I lighten her up a little bit.
mhm.
I'm just laying down this entire thing in white. If that helps. And I'm just doing a rough, so we'll see whether this works or not. But maybe that's what needs to happen, is that it's that dark red versus, you know what I mean?
I don't know if you would have to do that bright, but maybe just reduce the opacity just slightly.
Well, I was also thinking, instead of just having a normal layer, maybe I'm just going to finish kind of coloring this in real quick. But maybe part of the problem is this needs to be like an overlay, or maybe screen. Right? What did we? Does that help?
Can you turn down opacity?
Yeah, I can bring it down.
Just a smidge, not like a whole lot.
Like there?
It looks better. I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that she had that on the dress, like the darker ones. I thought it was all one color.
Yeah, the yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what needs to happen. We can do more of this and kind of clean it up tomorrow, but I think that's part of our problem, is that she's also too dark for sort of the watercolory feel anyway. And this is on a separate layer, so we can mess with this all day long. You know,
I find interesting is like I've never seen faux watercolor being done digitally actually look muddy.
Yeah, it looks muddy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we can fix that too.
I meant like basically what you're looking on now that I'm like without seeing that and then seeing that now, like brightening, making it more bright. That's basically what it seems like it was missing. Like the yellow looked brown and blended in with the dark red. The dark red looks better now because it's now lighter. It looks like she had something on her shoulders, in which case I never saw that before.
Right, that's detail you didn't see.
Yeah.
It's another one of those weird facts of just the way things work, I guess, is that you never quite see that. And I wonder if, on the same token, and I hate to go over time, but you know, let's see if this doesn't work. I wonder if I could take like a darker blue and on the same token go through and do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bring him down in color. Well, we may be able to.
There's a light source in his hand, right?
Yep, he's got a. That's another thing is that he's casting a thing.
Yeah, you're gonna want him brighter, but the shadows basically more contrasted, like you're doing right now. But maybe like the chest area of the shirt remain that bright level, and kind of just bring the face towards the light a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
And then have a more defined shadow kind of like in between with like a light with the white highlights on the other side.
Yeah, well, we can take this and then come in here, kind of do this number. Right, and then kind of come in here on this side.
I mean, I can see the face now when it's small.
Yeah, that was an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of our problem because, yeah, I can see it too, even pulled out to here now. And pulled in close, we can see pretty good too. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll fuss with that tomorrow morning and then tighten it up, and then I can send it off because I think that's the answer. Thank you, Pepper. I mean, like,
You're
really,
welcome.
legit, thank you. Because I have been fussing with this and trying to figure out what's wrong for a long time. Because I've seen it, I could feel it, but I couldn't get it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, I think I muddied up my watercolor on her outfit. I think I muddied up her watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've done that, we've got a much better sort of design going here. And I think he needed to be darker and she needed to be lighter instead of the other way around. You are the best. It is now 12:11, so I'm going to go to bed.
Okay. Well, have fun.
I will.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Have fun. I'm just going to go to sleep.
Sleep is fun.
Sleep is fun. I like sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow morning at morning stream.
And
Goodbye.
keep your eyes on the stars.
Keep your eyes on the stars. Bye-bye.